We're live. Welcome, anybody and everybody, wherever you are listening and tuning in around the world. Welcome. My name's Aurora Dawn Campbell, and in the hot seat we have a familiar face, Sue Headley. Welcome, Sue. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. It's nice, as I say, it's nice to be a little cooler today, so I can get my brain in gear and we can have a nice conversation. I'm well, thank you.
Good. Well, for those of you who know that I'm in France, we're kind of in the sort of epicenter of the heat wave, although it has just dipped a little bit this week, but rising again at the end of the week. So Sue is in Snowdon. We were just talking about how the temperatures differ and had an all-time high of 39, which I could never have imagined, or 37, never have imagined for Snowdon, but um,
So,
yeah, this last couple of weeks has been brutal for people in this part of the world. And Rowena's on the call as usual, my VA, who's going to answer your field your questions so that we can answer them. And Rowena's entering the rainy season, which Rhea told me yesterday she prefers because it's much more bearable temperatures. And I don't know if you agree with that, Rowena, but we could do with a little bit of rain over here. So,
mm,
this is Ask Me Anything About Accreditation. And I keep meaning to change this, Rowena. Perhaps you can remind me. We're going to change it to Ask Us Anything because I always have a guest and I always have a sleeping dog under the desk as well, Mitzi. And I know you've got a cat, so pets are all welcome. So ask us anything about accreditation. So it could be you're a training provider thinking, well, how is accreditation going to help me attract more paying international students when courses open again in September, if it's term time at university, or just attract them to your evergreen programs. Because believe me, they do check with us, is this course accredited? What does accreditation actually mean? So our role has always been since 1998 to educate the public to do their due diligence. And increasingly, I'm pleased to say they are. They do check in with us quite regularly. Maybe you're a coach of many years, like Sue and I, and but you've never thought about accreditation because it is, after all, an unregulated market. So why would you bother? Why would you invest in yourself and add accreditation to your professional evidence portfolio? We're going to answer those questions. Or maybe, as is the case when I was speaking to somebody last night, you're looking to work with a coach. How do you find them? How do you differentiate between all the thousands of coaches out there? How do you know what you're getting? It's kind of a bit like the Wild West, as somebody said to me. So those are typically the things that we talk about, and the questions that Rowena fields to us from all the social media platforms who are listening to this live. But Sue and I are both IAPCM accredited, so we're on the international directory. And if you're a little bit shy and we're a guilty pleasure and you're having your cup of tea or coffee or iced tea and coffee listening to us, you can always send your question. You don't have to ask it now. We're both contactable on the directory. So that kind of sets the scene. Sue, what are you doing to stay cool and fill your heart with joy at the moment, I wonder?
um, I'm one of the things I'm doing is responding to what my body's telling me I need to do when it gets so hot. Which actually is maybe reschedule some coaching sessions or give my clients the option to do that. And a couple of clients have just been so grateful when I got in touch with them and just said, look, I don't know how hot it is where you are, but if you need to put this back for a few days or a week, I completely understand. And I've had some very grateful clients for that. Um, of course, having a fan to hand when one needs it, a quiet fan, so it can be kind of churning along in the background, and just keeping hydrated. It's astonishing how much you need to drink to keep
Mhm.
away the headaches and things. So yeah, just kind of trying to listen to what I need and what my clients need to keep functioning. And as and I've got one room in the house that's lovely and cool, so I can go and do my admin type things there, which is a
Yeah.
godsend. So yeah.
I mean, you mentioned hydration. We're 70+% water. Our brain is 70+%
Mm,
water. So as you quite rightly say, most people have no idea how much they expire and perspire all day long, particularly at night. So it's good to have a drink before you go to bed. It's good to drink first thing in the morning because that's where most heart attacks happen, in between 6 and 9 o'clock in the morning, because the
Good
heart is
heavens.
dehydrated.
I
So
didn't know
water
that.
is really, really important.
Mm, mm,
But I think what you've just said about learning to listen to your body, which is a subject that we talk about a lot in our body scan meditations,
mm,
is the body scans are important. It's not just a routine ritual thing. It's what is the body going through right now? What do you notice and what can you do about it? So you're absolutely right about that. And I love the idea that you've been that flexible and thinking about your clients. I mean, it's so sensible just to say, look, if you're struggling at the moment, you've probably got brain fog, you're hot, you're sweaty, you're not thinking clearly. Let's postpone rather than go through it. I love that.
mm.
Well done.
Well, it helps me because there's been moments, we all want to show up and be really present and do the best job we can for our
Yeah,
clients. But I don't want to sit there with a client who's kind of melting on the seat and can't string two words together and get the benefit of being there, So yes, it kind of
yes.
makes sense. One lovely client said to me, the only place that's cool is the supermarket, and I really don't think I can do my coaching session in the middle of the supermarket. But that was a lovely image in my mind when she said that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
they're not daft, are they, supermarkets? They'll do anything to get your money. I went
absolutely.
shopping the other day and I said to Robert, the supermarket, without mentioning any names, was the only cool place. I tend to go to the little organic corner shop type supermarkets, and the
Right.
aircon wasn't really
Oh
noticeable there. And Robert said, well, they probably can't afford it. Whereas when you
no.
went to the big supermarket, they can afford it, and B, they want to keep the customers in the mall as long as possible. So
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Yes. Oh dear.
take your laptop to the mall. I'm sure you could find an internet cafe corner somewhere to do your work.
Absolutely. Good
Goodness.
idea. Yes.
I notice I haven't been walking much, and my dog hasn't wanted to walk much either.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some days I'm thinking, oh, she must be ill. She doesn't even want her breakfast. She's not even
Oh, yeah.
excited about the day. And then Robert says to me, she's either dehydrated or she's just worn out because of the heat. And
Mm.
sure enough, the next day, if it's a bit cooler, she's her normal self again. So we have to think about our pets as well.
Yes, absolutely. My cat's been coming in and out at funny hours and for his meals and things. And as soon as he's eaten, he goes, even when it's red hot, goes back out again. And I'm sure he's got some little spots in the shade somewhere where it's actually cooler for him. So
Yes,
yeah, we
yes.
have to keep an eye on them for sure. Yes, it's been the same with the horses, of course, going up and just sponging the horses off with cool water
Yeah, yeah.
regularly and things like that. So yeah.
Big responsibility. Mm. Which means we have to practice self-care, otherwise we can't be there for the
Uh,
family, any dependents like four-legged
yeah.
family friends. We have to
Yes.
look after ourselves. So drink plenty of water. And I don't know if I've shared this with you, but Katerina,
Uh,
who's Romanian, I think, who's in the North France, said to me, "You must get some of this water." So I put it in the fridge every night and then I just spray it. It's 100% water. Spray it on the back of your neck, your legs, keeps you lovely and cool. So all these little things, and as you say, silent fans, anything
mm,
at all to keep functioning.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so what's the situation in the UK at the moment, would you say, with clients, coaching clients? Is there any particular trends that you're spotting? I know you specialize in confidence, but with everything that's going on around the world, the anxiety, the fear, the wars, are you sensing any commonality between what people are wanting coaching in? I'm asking you because I'm not
Mm.
there.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm working, yes, with confidence, but I'm working with women in their sort of 40s and 50s. So
Mm.
it's a sort of very specific niche. Um, but I think what I've noticed is that I forgot what I was going to say then. It went right out of my head just as I was about to say it. That's typical, isn't it? Yes, give me a second and I'll gather my thoughts again. Yes, I think what I've noticed is that people are more insecure. Budgets are probably like they are in every country around the world at the moment. The budgets are really tight. I think people are more budget conscious.
Mm.
Um, and it isn't that they don't need and want help, but they're worried about spending extra money. I've had a number of clients who've signed up and then decided to postpone for a little while, that kind of thing.
Mm.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of unease generally, as there is with everybody, because there's a lot of negative, difficult stuff going on in the world at the moment.
Mm.
Um, One of the things I would say I have noticed, and I suppose it's partly because of the people, like the ladies I'm working with, who are at this particular point when they've got the menopause and midlife, and everything's kind of happening around them, kind of like a swirling nest of wasps or something, and it's quite difficult. Um, but they find it more difficult to be calm. Their thoughts are racing, that the anxiety, the overwhelm, that seems to be something that's greater, that's higher at the moment. Just, and my job is to just start giving them some space to help them
Mm.
just get some calm.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because not long before this call, a couple of Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on the gate, and which is very rare here in France. I think
Oh,
it's only
right.
ever happened twice in
Okay.
25 years I've been here. Lovely, lovely couple. Um, and they were talking about the unrest and the fear that people
Mm,
are feeling, the anxiety. That seems to be the overriding thing. People are anxious about their future,
mm,
not least since you know who came into power in the US. It's
yeah.
really sort of escalated things. And
Yeah.
of course, governments are changing all over the time. Hungary's just changed their president. The UK
Mm,
have just forced the prime minister
yes.
out.
Yes.
There's lots of change. So we can either
Mm,
think this is really worrying, or this catalyst for change could be really positive and exciting. And it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But we have
mm,
more bad news than we do good news.
mm,
So do
mm.
you watch the news or do you avoid?
I'm in the middle. So I read the
Okay,
headlines on the internet.
just so
I
you
go to
know a
the
little bit about what's going on.
Exactly. So I
Yeah.
literally on the BBC News website, I will read the headlines and maybe the first paragraph, and dive into one or two things. Um, I don't buy newspapers hardly ever.
Mm,
I so it's kind of limited exposure basically,
yeah.
and sometimes, once every couple of weeks I might go watch the news on the TV or listen to it in the car on the radio. But yeah, so I'm kind of, yeah, I'm on the fence slightly. I'm trying not to be completely disassociated, but I'm also
Yeah.
not in there sort of with both feet, as it were.
Mm, mm.
How about
I,
you?
I'm the same as you. I think the middle way, putting the Buddhist philosophy
Mm,
in the fore of my mind, is the middle way is the best way. So I think if I catch the headlines, then at least I know who won the football, who is the prime minister that's in, who's out, but I don't need to know any more than that really. And I think that stems from my sort of Tony Robbins days 20, 30 years ago when he said, don't read the news, don't wear a watch, don't have clocks everywhere, start listening to your body, etc., etc. And that stood me in good stead because I don't go to bed worrying about world affairs.
yeah.
But again, from a Buddhist perspective, I know it's wrong to live in a bubble. That's not what we're supposed to do. Otherwise, we can't help anybody else. So I think
Mm,
what you've described is the middle way. I think
mm,
that's
mm.
as
Good.
good as it
Yes.
needs to be.
Yes, exactly. And when you're doing your meditating and everything, and you're supporting people, as you say, you need to have an idea. You need to be sending the right vibes out to wherever in the world needs it, and all that kind of stuff, and be able to support your clients, which means you need to have some knowledge.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want too much knowledge. Thank you very much.
No.
You know.
Talking of knowledge, I know that you're interested in AI a lot more than
Mm,
I am.
yeah.
What are you seeing the impacts of AI? Let's just take it as your business, right,
Mm,
first, if there's
mm.
been any impact at all.
Um, I don't think there's been any impact to me. All that
Okay.
I've noticed is I have a couple of clients who have come to a session and said, I had a bit of a dip, earlier in the week or something. If I typically I might have fortnightly sessions with clients. So
Mm.
they've come to me and they've said, I had a bit of a dip, really just couldn't get one lady couldn't get motivated. Had to do some stuff and I was just feeling really low, blah, blah, blah. So I went onto ChatGPT and I just popped it into there and it came back with some helpful comments and thoughts. It said, just sit down and put your shoes on, don't do anything else. Just stop and then just think, okay, in a minute I'm going to open the door and go and get in the car. So it just broke it down into small steps kind of thing.
This was your clients doing this?
Yes, this was a client.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought that was great. Now I'm all for anybody finding whatever works for them. But yeah, the thing with AI is it's a bit of it can it can be a box of delights or it can be a hornet's nest, depending what you know about it, how you use it, if you're naive about it, all those sorts of things. So it hasn't impacted. I haven't had clients then. I'm not working with you. I'm working with ChatGPT. I haven't had any of that. But yeah, I've had, as I say, a couple of clients who've gone there voluntarily because they just needed help. They wanted some ideas, certain kind of problems or whatever, or moments.
That's really interesting, Sue. I mean, two things I want to say, and that is that in our paper, the English paper for French residents,
Mm,
um, this month said that the government are clamping down on things like ChatGPT, all the foreign AI platforms they want us to use. France are very
mm,
patriotic, use the French ones.
right.
So I thought that was interesting that they're really trying hard to minimize the influence of America in particular.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
the other thing that and it's gone out my head,
Oh, I'm
um,
glad it's not just me.
AI. Oh, ah, it's gone. Yeah, I can't remember.
It'll probably come back to you.
Yeah, um, it's kind of there.
Oh,
It's it was about you. Oh, yes. So when you were saying that about, one or two clients who are using it and just it kind of, I think it's very worrying that surely that would be a conversation you'd have with somebody in your family, like I'm feeling a bit low. It's not necessarily you're going to phone a coach, but you talk to somebody in your family and say,
yeah.
"Oh, I'm hot, I'm bothered, I'm a bit lonely, a bit under
Mm,
par. What shall I do?" But people are going to chat GPT
mm,
for this.
yes. Well,
Um,
interestingly, both of these clients are sort of pretty much on their own during the day. So whether they're working or
mm,
whether they're at home, but they're very much on their own. So
yeah,
I,
I
I think,
imagine.
you know, I think, like for people who are on their own, it's maybe all your friends are working, yeah, your other half's away, whatever. And you think, I'm here,
Mm,
I'm feeling really low. Where do I go?
mm.
I like to pick up a book and open the book and see what message comes to me on that book.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, you
That
haven't always got
that
somebody on hand.
that sort of reinforces what I've read about the loneliness epidemic. That,
Interesting.
in a lot of houses, and I can't remember what the statistics are because I'm rubbish at maths. I'm good at money, but not not at maths. Um, is the percentage of people in their car, and there's only one in the car, percentage of people living in a house, there's only one living in the house, that increasingly people are
Mm,
living solo lives and loneliness is an epidemic. And of
yeah.
course, some countries have addressed that, like Denmark, where they've married up primary schools with old people's homes. And that's working really
Oh,
well. And other countries, I've read about university students, instead of living in halls, they're living with
yes.
the elderly, and they're both thriving.
Absolutely. Yes, I've heard that. I love that. Yeah. So
Hmm.
much more imaginative solutions,
Yeah,
certainly than we have in the UK at the
yeah,
moment. Um,
yeah. And in
loneliness is a
Hong
killer.
Kong,
Mm.
and I don't know if this is true, but there was a movie about it where you could rent. a father, rent a sister, rent a, so it's not just a case of a boyfriend or a
Mm.
girlfriend for a date night because you've got a company do or whatever, but you rent a family member.
Oh,
And that
wow.
in this
Mm.
movie, it was perfectly common. Um, and there was all sorts of shenanigans, you know, that people got into. Like this woman rented a father for her fatherless child, and they actually got attached to each other. And then she didn't want him in the life anymore because she wanted, things like that. But it was a good movie, and I thought, I wonder if they're really doing that in Hong Kong. I
Yes.
mean, it seems kind of
Mm.
obvious. Why wouldn't you? If you can hire a coach, why wouldn't you?
Mm.
Well, I've heard of some countries saying adopt a granny. I
Yes,
think they do that in the
absolutely.
UK, don't they?
Um, I don't know whether they do it officially, but
Yeah.
I don't honestly know. I mean, certainly when my boys were young, I deliberately found somebody who was in her 60s who would come and see and deal with the boys after school because I wanted them to
Yeah.
have exposure to somebody of that age group,
Yeah.
because their grandparents were either dead or lived abroad, you know. So,
Mm, mm.
yeah, it's a great idea.
We need to make this sort of thing work
Mm.
rather
Yeah.
than people being so lonely and so
Oh,
isolated that
yeah.
they rely on having friends on social media without having a real friend, and
Yes.
liaising with ChatGTB. Is it
Yeah.
ChatGTB?
It's GPT.
You see, I'm dyslexic, so I'm never going to get that right.
Right. But we know what you mean. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what letters you use.
It's like I've always called WhatsApp "What's up."
Oh,
It was years before I realized it was WhatsApp. It was
oh,
an
I
app.
like that. I think you
What's
just
up?
rebranded it. Yes, I think that's
Yeah.
great. Oh
So
dear.
going back to AI, any
Mm,
other concerns that you have? Any positives that you're seeing?
mm,
Because I know that you work with a lot of corporates as
mm.
well.
Mm. That's not actually true. I don't do a lot of work with corporates.
Oh, so
Um,
it's women
I
who have
have
left the
clients
corporate
who
world.
work in corporates.
Yes,
Yes,
that's what I
I left the
meant.
corporate world. Yes,
Yeah.
I do have, yeah, my ladies who were stuck at that point in their careers and thinking, well, I don't want another 15 years feeling like this. Thank you. Yes, a lot of them are in the corporate world. Um, I mean, I went to this AI sort of mini summit chat, sort of hour-long session earlier in the week, and maybe it's not directly answering your question, but the thing that came up in that was, um, that AI, how well AI can coach, reading between the lines, is improving.
Okay.
That where human coaches really have the edge is sort of I suppose at the higher, more tailored end. So where you really got the sort of, the kind of the strategic people in a company, the people who are higher up, that kind of thing. Um, that that's that's where the sort of potentially the future for human coaches is, like
Mm.
really niche down, really kind of be aware of the higher end. Equally, I know somebody who's very passionate about new managers. They're promoted from being in a team to leading a team. They have no idea how to do it.
Mm.
Those kind of people potentially, and people in the teams who don't qualify for the expensive coaching, would benefit from AI, because there's a lot of, I'm going to say, generic, lessons to learn, you know,
Yes.
about business, about working, about teams, about communication, all that stuff,
Mm.
where they could actually be given that, because it works out the number that was quoted in the session I went to was $1, kind of $1 an hour, as opposed to 300
Yes.
dollars or pounds an hour. So potentially I think AI could be a positive thing if you put it into context,
Mm.
making coaching available for people who don't get it otherwise.
Mm.
um,
Mm.
you know but that equally puts the pressure on coaches to be really clear what their niche is, what they're offering, and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
you could see that as a threat, or you could see it as an opportunity,
Mm. Well, you'll
depending.
be surprised to hear this, but tomorrow I've got a meeting with a coach training provider who we were liaising with this person, and it turned out that they weren't real. Uh,
No.
yeah, brilliant emails on any
Ah,
subject,
yeah.
very personable. Apparently, the students love her, and I just can't get my head around this. You have to show me,
Mm,
introduce me, and tell me how you did it. And for a reasonably small investment, but a lot of time and effort to get what you want, they've created this wonderful reception admin person. So I can't
wow.
wait to learn more.
Oh
So
my
next time
goodness
I
me.
see you, I'll be able to tell
Yeah.
you how it
Yeah.
went. But
Yeah.
it is, as you say, it's very exciting if
Mm,
it's used in the correct way. I
absolutely.
know in the States we have some coach training providers who are very worried about it, taking jobs, certainly at the middle to lower end of the market, not
Mm.
managerial upwards, middle management upwards.
Yes. Yeah.
So we'll just have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. But
Mm.
I do think, it's why accreditation is so important. Um, not just not just people, but courses as well.
Yeah.
You know, because the more that the general public, our potential clients for training courses or for coaches and mentors, the more that they tune into AI and the more that they learn that it's not reliable, if you can't believe what it says, all the negative things about it,
Mm.
to then have a badge like the one I've got on my screen there, you
Mm.
know that says this is a person. And I'm talking about values here. Who has values? Whose values
Mm.
I can trust, as well
Yeah.
as having the skills to be a good coach or an excellent coach. You know, they've got the right values, and that was one of the things that came up in the AI meeting I was in earlier this week. AI isn't a person. A person has values, and if you communicate your values really well, that will attract people to you. And I
Mm.
think that, for me, that's where the accreditation comes in as well.
Mm. Yeah, it's a really good point because, when providing you haven't marked your own homework, and I know some training providers do, they offer certification and accreditation, which
Yes,
I think is quite
that's
funny.
not really accreditation, is it? If I'm going to
No,
speak
exactly.
quite boldly
No,
there, yeah.
yeah. If you go down the route of independent accreditation, take your evidence portfolio, and then you're
Yeah.
awarded a badge, a logo. I
Mm,
am TQA, I'm trained, qualified, and accredited. Um, then it's got to make it easier for the clients to find you out of all the thousands of
mm,
people who are calling themselves coaches. And I was having this conversation with Rowena earlier. I don't have any issues with somebody who's taken a $7 course over the weekend on Facebook. And even if they've upgraded and paid the
mm,
$63 for the certificate, no problem. But they can't call themselves coaches on Monday morning because they haven't served their apprenticeship.
mm,
It's the
mm.
experience, it's not the certificates. We can all get certificates and buy diplomas. It's the
Yeah.
experience, and that only happens with time, which is why we don't accredit anybody until they've got a minimum of 60 hours, which can be
Yes.
pro
Yeah.
bono. When you're entry level, we don't
Mm,
expect you to have paying clients immediately. So 60 hours is the absolute minimum. Uh, but when you then develop over the next 18 months and become a senior, we expect 80% of your clients
mm.
to be paying. So there are
Yeah.
statistics, measurable statistics and benchmarks in place so that when the public do hire their
Mm,
coach, mentor, supervisor, or choose their training provider, they've got some quality assurance about the
yeah.
credibility of what
Yeah.
they're going to be buying. Which
Absolutely.
reminds me, it's time you did your senior and above. I know
Well, it
I know
is
you've got the
absolutely.
hours,
I do. Yes, I do. Absolutely. So,
and not that it's that
yes.
important because most people will never ask you. They don't
No.
ask you what you got. Did you get a distinction or did you just scrape through? Are you accredited? Are you not? That's part of the problem, isn't it? So the public are
Mm,
not asking
mm.
the right questions.
No. no. And no, you're right in that respect. I'm not being kind of shoehorned into having to go for the next level, but it is on my list of things over the next 6 months to
It will happen all in the fullness of
definitely.
time.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. But I do whenever I talk for either when I'm running a masterclass or wherever I'm talking or meeting potential clients, I'm always saying to them, speak to a few coaches, find the right one, and ask these questions. Find out
mm,
if they're accredited, find out who they work with,
mm,
all those kind of things. But top of the list, I always have a little soapbox I climb on at some point to talk about accreditation. And
yeah.
the number of people who go, "Oh, thank you for that. I never thought of that." I'm
Yes.
still shocked and slightly
Yeah.
horrified,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm also shocked and horrified by the number of people who just assume that we're all accredited and
Yes.
certified.
Yeah.
I always remember Adele, our previous professional head of standards in the NHS, saying that she had a lawyer as a coach, and she said, "I'm accredited," and he just said, "What, you mean there was a possibility that you weren't? I just assumed that all
Mm.
coaches were." And this is what happens in schools as well. It's only we know when there's been an issue because we get a rush of people either in a company or a school saying, "Can I apply for my accreditation?" We know there's been a problem and everybody's suddenly been asked to provide their evidence portfolio because something has
Oh,
happened. And until that point, whoever was recruiting just assumed they were qualified, experienced, insured, had a contract, were
right.
accredited. So we've
Yeah.
had that scenario quite a few times. And I think that's one of the that what I'd call a no-brainer is to get yourself accredited,
Mm.
make sure
Mm.
you're insured, have a fair, ethical, and transparent complaints procedure, because in the event that there is a problem, and you never can tell. I know lots of people say, "I've never had," and we hear this a lot, so
Mm.
I don't have a complaints procedure because I've never had a complaint.
Mm.
Well, the first time you get one is not the time to start writing your complaints
No.
procedure.
No, absolutely. No,
So if
absolutely.
you're a professional in the coaching and mentoring profession,
Yeah.
why
Mm.
wouldn't you have these things in place? It's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I've never had anybody fall down and sue me on my public indemnity insurance when they've come to my office, therefore I'm not insured. It doesn't work like that. You get
No.
insured in the event that you have a contract, in the event that you become accredited, in the event
Yeah.
that the industry becomes regulated and the rug is suddenly pulled out from under your feet and you can't practice unless you're accredited. Can
Mm.
you imagine
Mm.
the accreditation body is going to be inundated with people who haven't been proactive?
Oh,
Um,
yes. Yeah.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And I don't get the mindset of anybody who wants the underlying anxiety of sitting there thinking, what if somebody takes this the wrong way? You know,
yeah,
I've had clients come to me and say, "Oh, really good session last time. You told me to blah to do this." And I go, "Okay, let's just take a step back here, right? This is coaching. I'm not telling you what to do. We're
mm,
exploring, but
yeah,
I have to correct that quite often, and it's all
yes,
good and there's no problem. But even with a good client relationship, people can
yeah,
assume, and why would anybody want to sit there
yeah,
with the possibility that something like that, I gave up my job because you told me to do that,
yeah.
and now I've got
Because
no
let's
money
face
and
it,
I'm homeless."
clients only hear what they want to hear and they
Oh,
interpret
yes,
what they
that's
want
true.
to
Yeah.
receive. It's
Yes.
that saying, isn't it? What you think you heard is not what I think I said. I can't remember the saying,
Something
but
like,
it's
yes,
something like that.
something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Yeah,
And I must
absolutely.
admit, last night when I was with a client, um, that kind of crossed my mind also from a therapy point of view, thinking I am not the person to continue this conversation because we are going down the rabbit hole of really deep therapy needs as well as coaching as
Mm.
well as nutrition. um
Mm.
so I've got 24 years experience and still that was in my mind thinking I need to be
Yeah.
really careful, I need to be documenting all of this, do my self-reflection, put it all in writing
Mm.
to the
Mm.
client, etc., so that there isn't a problem later on with somebody saying, "I'm sure you said that." No, I didn't. I'm
Yeah.
not a therapist. I
Yes.
don't
Yeah.
diagnose. I don't give advice.
No. No, absolutely.
If somebody, if you found yourself in that situation, how would you handle it, Sue? What would you say to a client?
I wouldn't be afraid to say to them, you know, exactly almost what you said, which is we're straying into the territory that
Mm,
therapy is required to really understand something that's happened, something that, that you've become aware of. Um,
yeah.
Another way I would kind of cover it is to say to them, look, we can look at techniques right now where you can make the right decision in the situation that you're in. I'm not going
Mm,
to start asking you about what happened in your childhood and all those things. If there's anything you feel that you want to say, that's fine, but I am not a counselor,
mhm,
So if you want to know how to lower the anxiety level so you can think calmly and move forward from here, then we can do that. But if you want to understand why you've been triggered and it's getting in the way, then it's a case of there's something for you to explore with a counselor or with a therapist of some sort. So
nice.
it's I do believe, and I've done it myself, you can have counseling and coaching at the same time, and they can work
Absolutely.
hand in hand as long as the client is kind of at the center of it and
Yeah.
understands the differences and that sort of thing. So
I'm
yeah.
glad you said that because that is one of the ways that I handle it. When I know that we're going down the rabbit hole, what I actually say is, apart from me as your coach, who else is in your dream team helping you with this? And they might
Yeah.
think, oh, I hadn't realized I needed somebody else. Who else is available? And then I would say, well, there are counselors, there are mentors, there are tapping therapists, there are NLP practitioners. It's
Mm,
up to you
mm,
to find out which, but I would be one of your dream team. So I just want to make you aware.
yeah.
So that's the way that I handle it. Who else apart from
Yes,
me is in your
I
dream
love that
team?
phrase. Yeah, I love
Mm,
that phrase. And of course,
mm.
because I also do NLP and hypnotherapy, but
Ah,
that NLP is still about moving forward.
yeah,
So if you had a car accident and, just a different kind of example, had a car accident, you're afraid to get in the car,
yeah,
and it's not always immediately. Sometimes it creeps back up years later, or you've fallen
yes.
off a horse and you realize that you've become more and more anxious about going riding. Um, that's quite apt in my life really at the moment. But anyway, so NLP is about how do we just reset your kind of subconscious response so you can think clearly and we can just take away that overlying anxiety so you're back to normal, which is
Mm,
wanting to keep yourself safe,
mm,
but not having those kind of overwhelming responses which aren't helping. So
yeah.
so NLP and hypnotherapy, they're all about sort of, okay, how do I move forward from this? Just in
Mm,
different ways, sometimes to
mm.
coaching. Still
So there
not
you
so.
go. Any coaches, any new coaches out there listening, you've just had a little bit of coaching experience one to one. That's really good. Is it 101? Yeah, 101
Oh,
secret
okay.
room. You've just learnt some really valuable tips there. We just accredited this week, or joined as a member, a lady in Romania who uh, offers Reiki to
Ah,
horses. That's some good
oh,
business. How lovely is that?
oh,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
have you ever thought about specializing as a equestrian coach?
Yes, I have. I have thought about it. And of course, I do also teach horse riding. I go off and do
Yeah,
that. Um, and and I can't help but build into it kind of tech, like the NLP type techniques for the kids that are feeling nervous and they get on a different pony to the one they normally ride, and you can see it in their body and their face, or they're on a pony. Suddenly, the pony's full of beans, and they're kind of like this and tense, and just kind of helping them to sort of just breathe
yeah,
differently and think about the fear as a little bit of excitement and just kind of, so all you can't help but build it into what you do
yeah,
really.
yeah.
But because I've never been into competing apart from some very low level dressage and stuff like that,
Uh-huh.
I kind of not, I don't, I suppose if I'm honest, I don't feel like, because that's where a lot, I think where quite a lot of the coaching comes along. Certainly that's one niche, people who want to compete, who are, and that
Yes.
isn't something I feel I could do. I've never been a
Yeah.
particularly brave rider in many
Yeah.
respects, you know.
I just wondered with
So
you saying, because I
yeah,
know
I
you've
don't.
had a couple of falls, and I know there's a
Mm,
lady who specializes in the US.
mm,
She only works with women who are
right.
frightened of falling off their horse during
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
jumping.
Interesting.
And she earns a lot of money because that's her
Yes.
niche.
Yes.
And it's a
Yes.
very small
Absolutely.
market, but they can afford to really
Yeah.
pay her handsomely for her. And with
Yes.
your
Yes.
NLP, you've got all the tools there to help people get
Mm,
over those phobias.
yeah. No, it's interesting, and I think it's a message for anybody listening to this, which is, your business, your practice, your coaching, your mentoring will evolve. So
Yes.
keep asking yourself, like you're asking me now, keep asking yourself the questions.
Yeah.
You know,
And you
is
can
there
have more than
something?
one niche.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. No, nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
So yeah. So
Let me
that
check in
that
with
that whole
Rowena.
question we're
Yeah,
parking.
sorry. Go on.
No, go on. No, I was just going to say the whole question of whether I move into another niche, we're going to park right now because it's popped in my mind, but I don't really honestly
I'm
know.
sure it has. I'm sure.
Yeah, so we'll see.
I'll just check in with Rowena if we've any questions. Where are you, Rowena? No, I can't see anything online. So we're free to continue chatting.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
let's talk about our latest initiative that you and I started earlier. I think it was about the springtime, wasn't it? We felt quite
Yes.
passionately we wanted to do something together and to involve writing because we've done that together before. So perhaps you'd just like to talk about that a little bit and introduce that as a
Mm,
topic.
yes, I would love to. So Dawn and I are running an Ask Me Anything About Writing session. We do it once a month, just like all the other IAPCNM sort of member benefit sessions. And anybody anybody can come along. It doesn't matter what you want to write, whether you want to write blogs, whether you want to write a book, whether you want to start writing better social media posts, you can come along with your question. Um, as a coach, there's no doubt that having a book or more than one book, um, helps you set out your stall about what you have to offer, who you are, and it can grow your business exponentially. Doesn't always do that, but it can do. So obviously the idea is, how can you maybe write some blogs? How can you take the writing you've done, develop it into a book? So yeah, that's the idea. You come along, you get supported, you can ask any questions. There's no question that's stupid. um, you know, everybody has to start somewhere. And whether you just want a little help with confidence to get started, or whether you're writing and you're stuck, or whether you want some structure. I joined Dawn and another coach, Ruby. I joined their 90 pages in 90 days program. And it was fabulous. And I wouldn't have had the courage, I don't think, to write, without it. It was so practical, and I like that. I like practical. I like structure. This many words, this many days, this long. You do this. You keep doing this.
Mm,
That kind of stuff really suited me too. So
mm,
it took the overwhelm away. Fantastic.
mm.
So yes,
Thank you.
there's a lovely, a fantastic program. If anybody is interested in that, it really, I don't know if you still run it as a live cohort, Dawn, or if it's all online these days.
I haven't had the time, and Ruby and I have parted company because she's busy with her Zentangle work.
Mm.
I mean, that business
Yes.
has really taken off, mindfulness drawing. Um, I'm very passionate about it, and that's why I started it with Ruby many years ago, and we've got quite a lot of authors under our belts now,
Mm.
including yourself and quite a few people in our community. I've always believed that although a book is not going to make you a great deal of money unless you're a J.K. Rowling, of course,
Mm,
um, a book is a signpost. It says, this
mm,
is who I am, this is how I do it. Hopefully, this is how I do it better than anybody else. This is what I do. And it sort of sets out your stall. But that means you've got something tangible for use in so many ways. It's a
mm.
thank you to your existing clients. Um, it's a client magnet to prospects who want to know more about you, your energy, your philosophy, your mythology. It's an opportunity to be booked as a speaker, and that's where you can make money
Mm,
because you can upsell to your master classes, your client-facing signature program, where obviously you're making money. That's the higher ticket items that your
mm,
clients can buy. So a book is a tool in your sales toolkit, and I've always thought get properly trained by a recognized training academy. Get insured if your country offers insurance, get independently accredited, and write something. So
mm,
whether that's you're writing blogs, you've written an ebook, and of course, if you can write shopping lists and letters, put them all together before long, you've got
mm,
some blogs. If you've got a series of blogs, you've got a little ebook or a report, and before
yeah.
long, you've got a series of books on your subject. So I always say to people, don't make the mistake I made and wait until you've been in the coaching business at 10 years or any business for that matter.
Mm,
Uh, but I waited until I was a master coach and I went to this event. I'm sure I've told you so.
mm,
And everybody on stage was less than a year's old in their profession. And I thought, what's the common denominator here? Because all of them have just started out in business, but they were all published authors. They did it the other way round. They were
right.
passionate about their subject, wrote a book, it got picked up by whoever, and that set out their stall. So, as Seth Godin says, write the book 3 years before you think you're going to need it, because that is
Lovely.
that is your
Yeah.
marketing tool. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So Sue and I came together. You've written the guidelines for writing blogs if you want to be a guest blogger at the IAPCNM. You've been featured several times in our award-winning industry magazine, International Coaching News. So it was an obvious marriage for us to come together with my course, which, as you say, is very practical, and also not only practical, but it it makes people accountable. I heard a statistic that
Mm,
97% of people think they've got a book within them. And I know there's a guy called Christopher, and I can't remember his surname right now, who said that's where it should stay. But and your second book is
very good.
normally the better book. But
Yeah.
most people never get round to it. Less than
Mm,
3% of people of the population are authors. And that's not because they haven't got a book or a story, it's because they haven't got the discipline to
mm,
write.
yeah.
They might start it. So going on a program and having accountability, a writing coach like Sue and I, you could turn up every month and you're going to be making progress. Um, and before long, you're going to have a book in your hands that you can do something with. And it's fantastic for digital
Mm,
conversations because you can say online, I'm thinking about this as the title. What do you think? Do a social media poll. This is the content. What am I missing that you want to read?
mm,
Here's the first chapter, building a pipeline of people who are going to buy the rest of the book. It's really, really useful. I think people underestimate how important it is to
mm,
write like your hair is on fire. Um, in fact, a
yeah.
future guest, I think maybe September, is Julia. I don't know if she was on the same course as you, Sue.
No, she'd done it
No.
previously. Yeah.
Okay, so she's written a few books now, and she's written
Mm,
books with other people on our course. She writes like her hair's on fire, and she's always touring and doing book signings and speaking. That's where you get your clients.
mm,
So
mm,
it's
yeah.
a really useful tool. That's why I bang the drum a little bit about it. So what I will add to what Sue said is that even if you're not an IAPCN member or you're not accredited, and I'm going to explain the differentiator in a moment because there is one now, everybody has a complimentary um, invite to each of these 8 Ask Me Anything sessions. So maybe you don't even have to be a coach, but maybe you've got a business and you want to know about digital support, or you want to join our writers one, or you've got a wellness question, or you want to join my meditation, or how to become a booked coach on LinkedIn in particular, but social media, or you've got a business and marketing question, any of those. It's complimentary to everybody at least once. So it's
Mm.
almost like a try before you buy. So you could actually go to all 8 sessions and try them all, or you could just pick the one
Yeah.
that you want. Most people are super impressed with the level of aftercare that is available. Thousands and thousands of pounds worth of professional and personal support available. So the differentiator between membership and coach accreditation is following International Coaching Week, we launched, and Rowena and I are going to be doing a big campaign over social media throughout the month of July and onwards, is you can now be a member. So this could be you're a coach or a mentor, but you just do not want to get accredited for whatever reason, but you still want to belong to your industry community. Or maybe you're a HR corporate professional, you're a consultant, you're a trainer. Again, you want to belong to a community of professionals, like-minded people, networking around the world, building your business acumen, building your CPD hours. We now have a dedicated membership level. So you'll have access to everything except you're not going to be accredited and you're not going to be in the international directory for accredited training providers and coaches and mentors. So for a simple fee of 149.97 a year, you can be a member. So that is almost like a stepping stone. And if you
Mm.
are a coach and or mentor, then and you want to upgrade once you've checked out the community and you can see how valuable it is, and maybe we getting closer and closer towards regulation, you think I want to get ahead of the game, you will get 50% of your membership fee off your accreditation. So it's a no-brainer, really. So
Good deal.
that's what Rowena and I will be plugging for the whole of July all over social media,
Mm.
because we recognised following International Coaching Week that there wasn't just coaches and mentors on the call, there were professionals of all sorts. And
Yeah.
also there were solopreneurs and entrepreneurs of all different fields,
Mm.
because what we were learning as coaches, Sue, was relevant to any business. So let's
Yeah.
just open up the membership to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I first became accredited, decided to do that, it was because I wanted to be with professional people in my chosen new career. And I knew that I needed that to be the best coach I could be, to be confident, to build a business. And let's not underestimate when it's like, I can't remember how you phrased it earlier, but who's in your network, who's there to support you, who's helping
Yeah.
you grow. If you
Yes.
put yourself in the right group, in the right community, good
Yeah.
things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Something about finding your tribe and you'll find your vibe.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Knowing me, it's probably the wrong way round, but you get the picture.
We'll have to
My
ask
mother was
Chat
always saying to me, you get your
GPT,
words
won't
wrong,
I?
but I know what you mean.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Okay,
So,
so I'm conscious of the time. I know you're busy and you have to go. Let
mm,
me just check, Rowena, if nobody's come up with a question, but some people are
mm,
shy, as I say. Sometimes we get a question
yeah,
later.
mm,
Some
mm,
people have just left comments saying, "Oh, we're a guilty pleasure," and they just enjoyed the conversation. So that's absolutely fine. Our role, really, Sue, as you've already highlighted, is to help educate the public that we're
mm,
here, that there's country-specific, European, and international accreditation bodies that have a national and international register of coaches and mentors. So if you're thinking about working with somebody, go to the directory, download the complimentary
mm,
e-guide of how to choose your coach, mentor, or training provider. You want to interview them. If they won't have a conversation with you, then they're
mm,
probably not the right person for you. So, um,
yeah.
everybody on our directory would expect you to challenge them, to ask them questions in the nicest possible way. It's an
Mm,
equal relationship. You know, your coach or mentor's not up there and you're down there. It's an equal relationship. So
mm,
you're going to ask each
mm.
other questions, but there's a useful downloadable e-guide. Um, and yeah, do your due diligence the same as you would if you were buying a second-hand car, booking driving lessons, an accountant, a lawyer. You don't just pick somebody because they're nice. At least I hope you
Yeah,
don't.
no, absolutely. Because you like their haircut or something, it's like
Yeah.
there's
And
got to be some substance to it. Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
my hairdresser in Spain says, I could do what you do. I listen to people and give advice all day long. But no, we don't
Yes,
do that.
hairdressers do, don't they? Yes,
They do.
absolutely.
Yeah, they
Oh,
do. So
oh,
that's why everybody in themselves has tagged on the word coach to their title because it seems
mm,
like another income stream. One of our training providers put this really succinctly to me. She said, um, the coaching profession is one of the lowest financial entry points. So for a very small financial investment, you can become a coach. And this particular training provider quoted 5,000. So for 5,000, you can become a coach, you can get insured and become accredited in the UK. 5,000 would cover those three things. Oh, and fourthly, a website. So if
mm,
you're not prepared to invest 5,000, then this isn't right for you. But she said this is one of the lowest
mm.
financial entry points, which is no wonder the industry is flooded with people calling themselves coaches because you've got the other end of the extreme where you can get a diploma for $63
Absolutely.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's really, really important you check the energy, the philosophy, and Sue says the values are aligned with the people that you want to be supported with because they're going to be part of your dream team. I've had
Mm,
coaching clients for years, not because I coach them week in or month out, it's because they come back for an
yeah.
MOT or they come back because they're being promoted or something,
Mm,
you know.
mm, mm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
really
Yeah.
important, do your due diligence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Final word to you, Sue, just to put you on the spot there.
Yes, absolutely. So my mind's gone blank again. Yeah, thank you for that, Dawn. Um, if you whether you're looking for a coach or whether you are a coach and you're looking to build your business, um, the IAPCNM is a community and it's a very caring community. So I am biased because I'm accredited with them and I also, do volunteer stuff for them. But if you want a nice bunch of people to help you, then, you know, talk to the IAPCNM a bit more.
Thank you. And likewise, if you want to work with a lovely coach who's very knowledgeable, who has corporate experience, loves horses and cats, and you want to rebuild your confidence and get rid of the brain fog that you quite often have in your late 40s and 50s, then Sue is your coach. So, how
Thank
else would
you.
people contact you, Sue, other than the IAPCNM directory?
Um, Easiest is to go to my website and you'll find you can click buttons and book appointments and things like that, read a bit more, and that is confidencefirstcoaching.com. So all
Lovely.
letters, just confidencefirstcoaching.com, and you can get in touch. Yeah. And I'm happy to have a chat. No pressure. We can always just meet. And if you want some, want to get to know me a little bit. So thanks for that, Dawn.
You're
It's lovely to
welcome. It's
chat
a
with you as
pleasure.
always. Take
No,
care.
lovely. And if I don't see you in the meantime, I will see you on the third Thursday of the month for our
Yes,
aspiring writing.
absolutely. Yes, which I think is the 16th. But yes, I need to double
Yeah,
check
it's
the
about
date.
it.
Yeah.
See you
Hmm.
then.
All
Okay.
righty. See
Take
you
care.
then.
Enjoy
Take
the rest of
care.
your day. Stay cool.
Yeah, you too. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.